All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And thanks so much for joining us wherever you guys are watching from, whether you're watching it live now or you're catching it after the fact as an archive episode. If you have been keeping track of the promos that we have recently been putting up, you'll know that we have a special guest on tap with this show. And if you saw the poster there, you'll see that I have a special guest from the romantic comedy known as Bite Me, and I have the uber talented Naomi Grossman. Let me bring her on. One moment. Hey, Naomi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
And also, by the way, guys, I want to wish Naomi a happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I celebrate all month. I feel like, it's a short month, so I got to really get it in. So,
Right?
I mean, if people are wondering, like, oh, I've been seeing birthday posts for days, it's true. You know, I go all month, but this is the day. So, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's dig right in, if you will, or take a bite, if you will. Can you tell me a little bit about being a part of this project and having a bite, if you will?
Mm. Well, it didn't suck. Going along with the vampire humor. No, it was an awesome experience, and I think it's an awesome movie. It's a romantic comedy, which we haven't really seen a lot of lately. Like, I feel like Nora Ephron was the last time anybody, you know, did a rom com. But this is definitely it's sort of genre bending because it's not straight rom-com. It's got kind of, I don't want to say elements of horror because really it's not horror at all, but
Right.
one of the protagonists is in this rom-com is a vampire.
Yes.
And by that I do not mean like a sparkly, supernatural feeding on people in the night. This is it's a real life vampire. Apparently there are people who claim to derive their energy from blood. And I buy it. I really do. I mean, I'm not one of them, but I know, just having survived this pandemic, that I derive my energy from other humans. And so, like, I am feeding right now, here with you and whoever's listening. But yeah, so it's a thing. Um and so this Sarah, like I said, the one part of this little love duo, um, falls in love with the IRS agent that audits her. Um, and obviously, hilarity ensues. I mean, there's clearly like it's a odd match. She's got blue hair and a face tattoo, and he's about as square as you can be. Yeah, I play Chrissy. Sarah's roommate and bestie, and kind of the firebrand leader of the vampire cult. We're obviously being audited because we have this church out of our New York apartment, and it's a little suspect, but yeah, hey, it works out for Sarah. I know when I
Indeed.
was audited, I've been audited twice now, and no one as cute or charismatic as Christian Colson. So yeah, maybe third time's a charm. I don't know.
Yeah, indeed. So with that in mind, too, you were just commenting on just the setup or the premise, if you will, and the unexpected, premise of having that dynamic of these two worlds colliding together. So, in speaking to that and learning more about your character, can you talk a bit about just perhaps that idea of doing research on that community, because just as you said, it is a community that is out there, and that is, you want to be respectful of it, and you want to make sure, even though it is something that you have elements of comedy in there, you still don't want to, obviously make fun of it, and you still want to, bring respect to, that community as well. So can you talk a bit about kind of that fine line of, shining a light on it, but also working within the confines of the film?
Well, I would never want to claim to not do my homework because I consider myself very thorough.
Yeah,
Uh, but in the case of Chrissy, um, and this, vampirism or whatever that the word would be, honestly, I took that on as almost like being vegan. You know what I mean? Like it's not. I mean, I was going to say it's not a religion, and here they are being audited for their religion. But um, the fact is, that's just what they feed on. It's not like who they are. Like Chrissy has a whole life aside from that. You know what I mean? Like she teaches yoga when she's not, you know, living in this apartment and feeding on feeding. So as far as I was concerned, I decided not to make that a huge part of my, preparation. Um, I really, when in reading the script, I saw a lot of myself in Chrissy. And like I said, I'm not a vampire. I don't drink blood, but I like you know, like I said, that's just her diet. That's what I mean? Just like my favorite meal is filet mignon, but like whatever, like a lot of people don't know that about me. You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, unlike, for example, like Pepper from American Horror Story or other roles I've done, where
sure.
I really did like a deep, deep dive down the YouTube rabbit hole to kind of figure out, like, nail those like gestures and walk and talk and all of that. Um, because let's face it, that was such a far departure for me that I, just like you said, I needed to do that justice, and I wanted to, be as authentic and real and as possible. I come from comedy, and I wasn't trying to look like I, was making fun, heaven forbid. But I think, what am I trying to say? With in the case of Pepper, for example, just one example, I was really I was trying to find ways where we have similarities, like, and even that was a stretch. You know what I mean? Whereas Chrissy, I could list on my one hand the differences. You know what I mean? So, and that was really just drinking blood. You know what I mean? Like other than that, this was probably as close to me as I've ever played. And it's interesting. I am not an actress that feels really comfortable playing herself. Like I don't want to do reality TV. Like that's why I'm an actress. I want to be as far away from myself as possible, which I'm sure some psychologists would have a field day with. But yeah, so this was a different sort of a scenario for me. Seeing that she was so similar, and so my research process um, w- went accordingly.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I feel like that's a great segue into the next topic, and just that idea of, yes, this is, it has comedic elements in it, and it sheds light on, as I said, you have these two worlds that are colliding together. But I feel like it also, has a comment on society too. So, can you talk a bit about, just that idea of, like, even though this is a film that is a comedy, I feel like it has an allegory of that, just that idea of being the other in any capacity, or in any shape or form, and how it comments on human nature, and when it comes to human nature and people, how people respond when they, I guess, when they feel someone is different from them, like sometimes the things that can arise out of that, and how sometimes too, no matter how well adjusted, or how perceived, normal someone is, everyone has, something, about them that's, quirky or unique. So
Right. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's, we're all freaks. Like and that's, I mean, interestingly, that's sort of the was the mantra of Freak Show, American Horror Story, but also this film. Absolutely, like it's a real celebration of the differences, and that no one's normal. Like everyone's got their quirks. Some quirks are, physical. Some are emotional, mental, sexual, like you name it. And in this particular case, yeah, it's this super odd couple that you would never imagine would get together, and yet, I think that's a beautiful story. Like we don't have to look like each other, or come from the same place, or believe the same things to find love, and that can be romantic or otherwise. I think we're in living in these like very polarizing times, and I think if we just get back to the fact that like we actually have so much more in common than we have different at the end of the day, right? um
indeed,
yeah.
indeed, and just to switch gears, a bit and go a little bit off topic is, I understand that you were a, graduated as a theater major. So shout out theater major, woo, theater major as well.
Yay.
So with that in mind too, and you've been commenting on not just this role but other roles that you've had an opportunity to play and really made it, a impact in terms of how it has spoken to people. Can you also speak to different mediums as well? Because just earlier you were talking about not just doing film, doing TV, but also doing comedy, and then even being on the stage. Like people, a lot of times, if they're not specifically entwined in the world of performance, don't really grasp that idea that those mediums are so starkly different. It may seem like, because people, a lot, you have talented artists that make it look really easy. Um, Theater couldn't be any more different than film and TV, or vice versa. So, he, speak to that, and perhaps, I know it's maybe a question that you haven't received in a while, but which one you enjoy the most, or maybe there are, ones, maybe it's hard to really determine between
Well,
those.
no, it's not actually. To me, I think it'll be surprising to people that I do prefer the theater. Just it's more of an actor's medium.
It's
Um,
immediate, yeah.
we're you're able to perform that the character's arc all in the course of one evening, right? And it goes chronologically,
Yes,
whereas oftentimes, when you're shooting something,
it's
you're
so
going way
disjointed.
out of
Yeah,
sequence,
yeah.
and
You have to get to that place wherever it is. Yeah.
yeah, you're on the witness stand for murder, and yet you haven't even done the, shot the murder yet, or maybe you didn't even know you murdered someone. Like that was, I mean, that was my experience in Horror Story. Like I didn't know when Sister Mary Eunice comes in and says, "Oh, Pepper, she drowned her baby and cut his ears off," whatever it was. I was like, I did, I kind of made this little like maybe look, because I still didn't know the storyline, and in fact, I didn't find it out for another 2 years. So that just happened. So that's the nature of TV. They're writing it as they go. They don't necessarily even know how it's going to end. So anyway, I would just say like that, between that and just the immediate, getting that satisfaction of applause and laughs, and I mean that's really intoxicating, and you're not getting that on film and TV. Like
No.
you hope you don't, because they, it's silent on set until they call cut, and then, even then they got to work. They're moving on. There's no time to enjoy So it's often like, for example, in this particular case, I mean, we worked on this movie in 2017. In 2019, it went on the Joyful Vampire tour, in which they had a RV that they traveled around the country showing this movie to, like, I don't know, a good 50 locations around the country, which is awesome. And I was following it from afar, and I sent friends to screenings, and I went to the ones near me. But that was 2 full years before I was able to get any kind of audience interaction. And even then, here we are now, 2022, thanks to COVID. Obviously, the VOD release, has was delayed, as was everything in the world. But it's just wild. Like, here we are, like, again, another 2 years, and I'm, I'm getting some, audience feedback, but it's nothing like the satisfaction of telling a joke and hearing the whole room erupt, in real time.
Excellent. And speaking further, about those mediums, and you just comment out, the elephant in the room of COVID and the pandemic and all that, and how that has affected the industry. Can you speak briefly on that? Currently, on how fascinating that's been, because I have some other friends that do comedy as well, and that whole journey for them currently in the last 18 months have been interesting, where in some cases they've been able to do in-person shows, and then they're even doing digital shows, like virtually, which they haven't been the happiest about. But you do what you have to do, to still be able to provide your creativity there. So can you speak to that? Because I know a lot of times, like with film and TV, you have those other cases where entire crews and casts are quarantined together for a while, and you're constantly tested daily, to ensure everyone's safety. But comedy is a different beast in terms of those different things that you're doing. So, or even theater.
Yeah, I mean, I have not done theater since the pandemic. I mean, I'm definitely not gonna do some digital show. No way. But I did take this time to write a new one woman show, which I'm anxious to put on stage for people. But yes, I'm gonna wait until we can actually, like, be in theaters to do that. Um, I have worked on set since, and that's wild. Like, it's, yeah, just like you said, testing every day. You're on set. Uh, you know, Masks on, until the
Right.
clapper comes in. That's when the
Yes.
mask comes off. It's like they're not wasting any time, and that goes even for, like, intimate scenes. I mean, I haven't done one, but I've been on set while they were doing them, and it's like, the couples masked up, then clapper out, take off the mask, make out, call cut, mask back on. It's like, what? You're just in each other's mouths, and not, you're like, who cares? But COVID protocols. We're trying not to get shut down.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Well, Naomi, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you hopping on, especially here on your birthday. Happy
Oh,
birthday again. Um, there you guys have it. Naomi Grossman of Bite Me. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Moves and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there as always, and see you soon. Bye.
thanks so much.
Absolutely.
You bet.